Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about recursive functions. I'll be working on two examples. The first examples will teach you how to create a recursive function. And the second example is like one of the common use case of recursive function where recursive function is the only solution, let's say. So the first example, I'll be working, let's say we will create a loop using while loop. Let's say we have let count is 0 and this while loop is gonna loop and display number from 0 up to 10, right? So I would say as long as count is smaller than 10 and equal, because I want to include 10. So I would like to log the count. So this is going to be true forever. I don't want this thing to be true. I want to have count plus plus, count plus 1. When you run this while loop, when this while loop runs first, it's going to check here. Is it true or not? It is true. It's going to run this block of code. And it's going to come again and check this condition. So there should be a time when this condition is false. When it's false, when this count is bigger than 10, then this condition is going to be false. That's when this while loop gonna stop execution of this block of code. So let's run it. Node test.js. Test.js is the name of this file. Let's run it. You see, from 0 up to 10, this is when the condition is wrong and it's not gonna run this block of code anymore. So this count plus plus, you can make it count equals count plus 2. So now you will be having even numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. You see, you're not going to have any number bigger than 10, right? So let's create the same thing using a recursive function. We will do the same thing. We will do the same thing here. So what you can do, let's clean up here. Again, we will be having a count, a variable by the name of count, and then we're gonna have a function, and this function is gonna log count. Let's say this is what I would like to name this function, but as you wish. So I would like to this okay. So this is gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna log the count. Very simple. And then it's gonna make the value of count incremented by 1. And then I would like to call this, let's ignore here and let's call the function. Let's see what happens. Log count. What happens is normally what usually happens is the same thing. You've learned the function. It's like whatever in the function, when it's called, it's going to run this code, right? And here it is. So what you do, count plus plus, count plus plus, and you call this function from this within this function, right? But I don't want to call it anytime. I want to call it if count is smaller or equal to 10. This is when I would like to call this function again. So this is like a loop, you see? This function will come here when you call it for the first time. It's gonna log the count, which is 0. Then it will increment it by 1. It's gonna increment 1 to it. Then it's gonna check if count is smaller and equal to the 10. Then it's going to run the same function again. So this whole thing will run again and again and again as long as in here this condition is true, right? So here this if you can make it, you can shorten it like this. It's the same thing when you have an if statement and there's one thing needs to be done, you just ignore the curly braces and it's going to work fine. Let's run it. See, it works perfectly fine. So this is a simple loop that you can use, while loop, for loop, to create, and you can use a recursive function too. So let's come to the problem that recursive function solves. Assume that you have an array or list of numbers. Let's say it's 1, 2, 3, right? If you would like to loop through, if you would like to add, let's say I would like to add 1, 2, 3. I would like to get the sum of this array. How can I do that? Using for loop. It's very simple. You have the for loop. You say num of list, and here you have a variable by the name of total, which starts from 0. And so this total, you say total equals total plus num. That's it. If you log the total, let's see, total, it should be 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. Let's see, run it. Here it is. So assume you have another array here with number. Now if I run it, ooh, what do I get? What it is? I don't know what it is. Assume you have an, let's say, such kind of a list, and you want to add all these numbers. How can you do that with using loop? Because you don't know how nested this array is, let's say, right? Here you use a recursive function. Let's say you have a recursive function, and it's gonna loop through all the numbers. Let's say it's gonna extract the numbers, or add to total. Yep, from array. Very descriptive name. So you come here and you call the function and you pass the list to it, right? So this list comes here and you want to loop through it. Simple loop. I need simple loop. Const data, right? So the reason I'm calling the elements of the list data, because I don't know if it's an element, it's a number, or it's an array. So I have to check it here. If data, let's see, you go array is array. If data is array, then what we're gonna do, if it's not an array, we're gonna log it. Let's see, console. No, we're not gonna log it. We're gonna add it to this total. So you say total. This is another way of adding it. Data. So else what we're gonna do? Else we're gonna pass this data to this function again, right? So you come here and you say data. So now at the end of this function, I would like to check out the total, if it's fine or not, right? So let's make these numbers simpler, like 1, 2, that's 2, and let's say 3. So 1, 2 is going to be 3, 3 plus 3 is going to be 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 plus 3 is going to be 12. Let's see if it's 12. Oh my god, what it is. What it is. What just happened here? Oh my god, if it's not an array. Let's log the number to see what happened. Just log the data. Run it. Okay, we have got 0 here. No, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Data. Yeah. Run it. Yeah, it is 12. I think I haven't saved the file and I ran it. Assume that if I put here, now this file has a problem, right? But if I run it, it works because I haven't saved it. You see this mark? If I save it, this mark will disappear. Control S. You see that mark is not there anymore, right? If I run it, it's going to give me an error. You see? That's the error. What is this A doing here? You remove it and you Control S and you run the code again. So now you've got 12. So this is one example of recursive functions. I hope you've learned something out of it. In case you need more, let's say I can give you more examples using React.js. I mean, there are some components you like have a component in the component where you have an object and you don't know how much data within it is, and you want to get all those primitive data. So recursive function is gonna be there to help you.